you guys down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this.
Actually, Lord, you good. You guys have
Here right now. We actually, I don't believe in penalizing people who show up on time. So we're gonna start on time, and I think we have an icebreaker, so we'll give people an opportunity to trickle in. I'm Dion Reeder. I'm the Community Engagement Director here at the Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative. So welcome to our very first workshop of this fiscal year. We have what we call a Family Support Institute here at the Collaborative. And the goal of the Institute is really to build the capacity of our community to take care of itself. I like to tell people that our responsibility is to work ourselves out of this business, and that this community is taking care of itself with people who live, work, and worship here, right here in Ward 8. And that you don't need an organization like the Collaborative to make this happen, because we're thriving, we're healthy, we're taking care of our babies, and the community is doing it because that's what the community is supposed to do. So our way of doing that is actually, one of the ways of doing that is really training people, using some experts in the field to really train individuals to do this work effectively. So one of the first ways out of the gate that we wanted to do that this year is really a workshop. One of the things that we do in community engagement is manage the mini grant program. So I have the pleasure of knowing a lot of you all because of that, which I enjoy so much. And one of the things that we recognize, and some of you all are new faces to the mini grant program, and not new faces to me personally, but some of you guys already really write well. So I don't necessarily know why you necessarily are here, Linda. But anyway, this is really one of our, I would like to call this kind of like the prerequisite to grant writing, because we're going to do a workshop a little later this year on actually kind of grant writing one-on-one. That's why we didn't call this that. But one of the things we recognize is that people have great passion, great ideas, but they can't really figure out how to formulate it. You know, they want to do the work, and if you talk to them, you're like, you're right on point. You know exactly what you want to do. And then you tell them, well, send me your, your goals and your objectives, and you get that blank, right? You don't get anything. And it's like, well, look, you got it together. And then it's like, well, I don't really know how to put it down in writing. So that's what we want to do today. We want to really help you figure out how to put it down in writing. And then the bottom line is, and we all know this, if you can't prove that it works, then to most people it's not working. So that's why it's important that you have measurable outcomes. And we know now the buzz phrase is results. If you can't prove that it's working, it's really not working. So one of the things that we do here at the Collaborative, we believe that we're not always the experts in this, and we have great consultants. And many of them are Ward 8 residents. In this case, all of them are Washingtonians, and, well, not Washingtonians, Washington residents, because I don't know if all y'all was, I think Robert, you are. You ain't even what you mean?
25 years.
All right, we'll give you a pass. We'll give you a pass. But two of them actually live here in Ward 8, actually. But the benefit of that is that they believe in the work that the Collaborative is doing. They're activists here in this community, and they're also on our team. And we have with us Dr. Delia Houseel. Did I pronounce it right this time? Yes. Okay, great. Who's going to do a piece, who's actually going to present this workshop with us. Robert Pierre, who's going to join us, and then, what's your name for this workshop? I know your name.
Oh, Deidre.
Okay. Deidre Owens of Dot Communications. They're actually going to do the presentation for us today. It's going to be fun, you guys. It is a lengthy workshop. We have breaks. You see, we have a small dinner to hold you over, so you're not sitting here for 3.5 hours hungry. So we do have a break infused into the workshop, and this is interactive. So we're not going to make you wait until the end of the session to ask any questions. As we're moving along, we want you to ask as many questions. We want you to leave here. If you came here with, I'm sorry, my mouth is so dry. If you came here with goals and objectives and your measurable outcomes already prepared, great. If you want us to critique it, thank you, sir. If you want us to critique it and look at it, excuse me, if you want us to critique them and look at them and just make sure they're tight, that's fine too. If you want to build them while you're here, that's even better. We're here to support your work. And then on top of that, we're moving next week into our mini grant workshop. That's why this is so timely. Because if you're looking at submitting a mini grant, we want you to be able to utilize what you're learning today to be prepared for the mini grant application. Okay, so with that said, I do have my fearless leader, my executive director, Mr. Curry Moon, who just entered the room, and I want to give him an opportunity to say a few things.
So thank you all for being here. I really just want to thank Dion and our consultants, the team here, for their hard work in putting together this presentation and workshop for you. I think you will find that this is going to be very helpful as you apply for mini grants and other grants and really build the capacity of your own organization. So thank you for being here, and I'm going to be in and out. And thank you again, Dion and your team.
So we're going to get right into the work, and it's about 10 minutes to 5. So we're all adults here. Feel free to take a bathroom break. You don't have to ask, but you do need a key. So our office is open until 8 o'clock, so you can come in and out the door, that front door, but you need a key from the receptionist desk to use the restrooms that are right outside the door. But again, feel free to take your breaks occasionally. We do have a break factored in at that time. We can have dinner together, and we'll kind of have like a 15-minute break that you don't have to think, but then we're going to really get right into, so we're going to use it as a working dinner / lunch kind of thing. And then you probably, unless you guys, we built in a lot of time for discussion, but we should probably finish way before 8. We wanted to give us enough time for you guys not to feel rushed. All right, well with that said, I'm going to turn it over to the team, and we're going to get right into it. And again, we're expecting about 25 people, so if you spread it out, that's fine, but as you get more people come in, just feel free to, tighten up a little bit, but I think it's going to be more than enough room. So thank you guys again, and I'll turn it over to Deidre.
I'm Deidre Owens. I'm with Dot Communications, and we've been working with Dion and Perry of our Southeast for, maybe almost a year now. And as Dion said, we are big believers in the great work that they're doing. So this is, like Dion said, this is going to be fun and interactive. So this is just a little icebreaker to kind of loosen us up, and so we can all get to know who's in the room. So this is a picture of a popular TV show that's on now. Can anybody guess what show?
Shark Tank.
Exactly. Now, how many of you all watch Shark Tank? So you know what character I'm playing, right? David Johns, no? Okay. So, do you know the goal of Shark Tank?
Yeah.
You watch it. And what would you say the goal or
Well, I think the goal is
exercise?
for individuals that come on the show to really get their product out there.
Exactly.
And to be supported by one of them.
Exactly. So that's kind of what we're going to do in this icebreaker is really, what you're going to do is you're going to partner with someone in the room that you don't know. And just like on Shark Tank, you're going to share information about your program or your organization. And if you watch Shark Tank, you know those that are successful are able to show the need for their product or service, a goal and objective, and really articulate that in a concise, clear way. So what you're going to do with your partner is that you're going to interview each other, and you're going to share that information about your program or your goal. Because just like on Shark Tank, at the end of the day, you want people to invest in your program or your vision. So in order to do that, you have to be really clear on articulating. And as the evening goes on, Robert and Delia will dive a little deeper into how to do that and how to really shape and tighten your message up. But this is just a little kind of introduction. So we're going to have 5 minutes. So if you can find a partner.
I'm sorry, before you give the actual instructions, one thing I have to be clear on, we are taping this, and I'm going to ask that you guys, if you can for us, this is our 20th year anniversary, so most of the things we're doing this year we are capturing. On our sign-in sheet, we do have a clause at the bottom that states that we have the right to actually photograph, but particular since you guys see the cameraman, if you don't mind, we are asking you to sign a photo release form, just to be fair to you. I want you to guys see your photo across Channel 7 News or something. I'm teasing you. So if you don't mind, if you could make sure you sign the sign-in sheet as well, and also sign the photo release forms before you leave here. All right, thank you, and that's it.
Exercise, in addition to kind of finding out who's in the room with us tonight, is to find out if you're clearly articulating your vision and your mission with other people. And you will be able to know because they'll have to introduce you. So if they introduce you and you kind of feel like, well, that's not quite right, that's an opportunity to say, I need to revisit or reassess how I'm sharing my mission or statement. So we're gonna take a little, just probably 2 minutes for you guys to get a partner. And can you be conscious? Do we have a?
We have one odd.
Hi.
Want to do a group of three?
Well, I think.
You want to join? Linda, who want to join you guys? Okay, thanks.
The management company, they have different criteria that I would do this report that according to the actual management.
I'm actually starting as one of the case manager as a special, so it'd be really interesting for you to talk to at some point about how you do the housing, how that works. So that would actually be really good to talk to you about.
Yes, and also what I'm trying to do, that's why I'm here, is.
This is a 3-minute warning, just, okay.
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 Thank you.
So what I'm trying to do here is I want to incorporate, because of the fact, I know a lot of, let's say broken people, misunderstanding, I know what they do. If they're spiritually broken, also.
That's a collaboration right
Because using their vouchers and they're still looking, they can just, you can do it.
So any volunteers who feel very confident? Okay. What's your name?
Yes. My name is Sakina Gibbons.
Sakina?
Danielle Graham.
Danielle. So Danielle and Sakina are going to be our first presenters.
I'm sure it is.
Their services that the government has for them in place. So she's that third party that will bring them together and give them the services that they need. Far as if she can't help them with her services, she do have other people, other collaboratives that can assist her in the services that they might need if it's not within their services at her program.
Alright, so I'm introducing Ms. Sakina Gibbons, and she's owned her own business for the past 7 years. And what she works to do is help connect Section 8 housing, individuals who hold a Section 8 housing voucher to housing options that do in fact take those vouchers, which can be very difficult in the city to find places that accept those vouchers, as well as work with individuals who may have a prior criminal conviction or need second chance credit. So working with individual landlords throughout the city who are willing to give people a second chance as to their previous actions, provided it hasn't been within the last 2 years, if they haven't been evicted in the last 2 years, or if they haven't had a criminal conviction within the last 2 years. She also helps connect individuals with resources so that if they are in need of some kind of financial assistance, such as a security deposit, connecting them with charitable organizations who do that kind of work. However, her vision is to eventually get funding for a transitional housing facility, specifically for women who are facing domestic violence issues who hold or for Section 8 voucher holders who aren't currently using their vouchers and are in need of somewhere to stay temporarily as they find that place to call home with the voucher.
Great.
All right, good job.
So do you all feel that you accurately?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
It's totally a connection. When she was telling me her vision, I was like, that's what I'm already doing.
So I think that's a great connection.
That was great. Thank you. So our next group, the group of 3.
Hello, my name is Naomi Paris, and I will be introducing Linda Holland. This is Linda Holland. Linda is a program manager of also a U.S. Vets nonprofit program. And they provide what we just heard today, a real of the same spill. And they have a lot in common because they are providing housing for the homeless. They also are located here on Wayne Place Southeast. She's been doing this now for 3 years. She also is a vet herself, and she's a counselor. They have presently 85 vets that they are now doing the transitional housing, but they can work with up to about 400, I believe, up to 400. And so she definitely enjoys what she's doing. She's very passionate about what she's doing. She's on a mission about making sure that anyone knows of anyone out there that need her services that are vets, that they definitely need to contact her and be able to see how they can better use her services. She's ready and available to do so.
Hello, I'm Linda Clark Holland, and I will be introducing Tonisha. Tonisha has a business about 2 years old called Culinary Kids DC. She's currently working out of the Hill Center to provide culinary arts for her students. She's going to be working with the youth, about 25 over the summer, and she will be helping them to understand meal preparation, how to do some farming, have healthy foods, selections, understanding what that's about, all about healthy eating. She wants to expand that, later on. So she is definitely has a passion for what she's doing, working with kids and healthy eating and helping them to understand how to keep their body, their temple healthy.
And I will be introducing Miss Wyoming Paris. Wyoming Paris. She is preparing to start TSMS Performing Arts and Education, which will be housed preferably at the Arc on Mississippi Avenue, and it's going to be a Performing Arts and Education Institute for Children, an evening program ages 7 through 17. And there will be drama, singing, and dance, and she just wants to push children to tap into their talents and creativity, and I think that's an awesome mission.
Okay, great. Is that it? I think that's everyone. And then we have our last pair in the back. Are you guys ready?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello. I'll be introducing Ramona Jackson. She has a LLC. It's called Artists Good for the Heart, and it's through the ages of 6 to 16, right? 6 to 16. And her LLC based on expression, as far as doing art in a negative and a positive way for kids to express themselves, and also as far as educational math, science, and life skills as well.
I have the pleasure of introducing Teresa Sledge Jackson, and the name of her nonprofit organization is Girls Rule the World, and her program is for adolescents through young teens. She is also an entrepreneur, and her program deals with life skills and teaching young women how to appreciate themselves, how to develop creative and entrepreneurial skills that will help them become better citizens and give back to their own communities.
That's great. Well, I think that gave us a good snapshot of who's in the room, the fantastic work you guys are doing and want to do. And next, we're going to bring up Robert, and we're going to give out some handouts now. And the rest of the afternoon is really going to be spent kind of going through how to shape your goal statement and your objectives. And many of them were stated in the introductions, and they're just going to kind of help to tighten the message as it relates to the funding process.
So
So before we get to actually that, we're gonna do a little bit of deviation. I wanted to get a couple things, I want to put a couple things on the board here. Can you guys tell me what it is that you think you need out of, like what did you come here for to help you, that you need help with? Yes, ma'am.
I need the overall, the setup. I don't know how to write it out, so just the,
So you need a
Ready.
template of something,
Yes.
to how, to what's the order, okay.
yes.
Okay, so we can help you with that. Anybody else? Anything, other needs that you think you have? Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I want to pinpoint my goals and objectives and to make sure that they're met in a way that they're measurable.
Okay, we definitely gonna help you with that. Objectives. So you wanna do, we're gonna call it evaluation.
Right.
But yes. If I don't spell this right, it's not because look, I want to be clear.
Because I want to be able to pinpoint them, make them very direct, but I also want to develop an evaluation tool.
Yeah, okay, so very good. And so we have someone who can help you with that for sure. Anybody else have some, things that what do you think you need help with? Because the goal here, again, the goal here is that Far Southeast would like to, have money for these grants, and they want to give them out. And so they, what they're trying to do is to make sure, because what happens a lot of times is people turn in applications and they can't give them the money because they don't have any of they don't have a way to evaluate it, they haven't been able to clearly articulate it. So the goal is we will help you. We want you to use this as a working session. So stop us at any time while we're talking. If you've got a question, stop us and let's work it out. And as we're writing things down, we're also going to be, we're going to be working with you. So during your work time, we're all here to help you if you have a specific question. So one of the things that we want to talk, the first thing we want to get, not the first thing, but the thing we want to get to now is to talk a little bit about community needs. And so what I would like you to do is to we heard a lot of things that you guys are interested in, arts, with veterans, homelessness, counseling services. So if you could talk a little bit, I'd like you to do a couple things. Is the right, what do you?
Just the
Oh, the PowerPoint. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Yes.
Let it go down over here.
Okay. I want so I want to get to the what are, so understand the need, and then what are the primary needs? Yeah. So what are the primary needs of this community? And so I'd like you to spend a few minutes, just a couple minutes, writing those down, and then we're also going to spend a couple of minutes writing down the specific need that you think you're addressing. So, and then we're going to write some of those on the board as well, about, again, big community needs, for as you see in this community, we'll say at Ward 8, everybody's working in Ward 8, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so everybody's working in Ward 8. And then also what the specific needs that you're addressing. And if you're, like, for instance, if you're working with vets or with kids, what are the specific things that you're having to deal with? Because I'm sure sometimes before you get to the arts, you have to deal with something else. Mm-hmm. So just if you could write those things down, and then we'll talk about them in a few. Let's just take about 3 minutes, and then we'll keep moving. Need a few more minutes? A couple more minutes? Okay. So let's tell me what you see as a, let's do needs Ward 8, Ward 8, and then maybe and hopefully they'll probably overlap some. what do you, needs, you wanna start anyway? Yes, ma'am?
I would say, knowing the resources in the community.
Okay, access to resources.
Information about resources, I think.
Right.
Okay, so it not, just
They don't know
even,
what's
they don't even know
available.
what's
They don't know what's
available. So
available.
information,
Mhm.
so there's information deficit.
I mean, it's rich with resources, but people don't know what all is here.
Yeah, and you're right, because it's not that they can't access it, they just don't know
Yeah,
about
no,
it
they
to
really
access it.
don't.
Life skills.
Okay, life skills. And so let's do that. So tell me, when you say life skills, what do you, give me some things that you want to,
Okay, first and foremost, a lot of women in the Ward 8 that I've seen, they suffer with a lot of self-esteem issues.
okay?
They're not highly motivated. They lost all sense of, drive, or they just never had a driven mindset because of their parents. It's pretty much like a generational curse, because if their parents haven't been taught something, how could they teach their kids? So it's just like a ongoing, academic deficit that's using or needing the DC government for some type of assistance.
Right. Okay.
Dress for success.
Okay, so you dress,
Yeah, they have a issue with dressing, They don't put a lot into the way they look, but it still comes from the self-esteem,
Right.
the upbringing.
and in some cases, I think that might be not knowing also, I mean, I don't know
Right,
what's
yeah,
acceptable
what's
in a
appropriate.
Right.
particular environment.
Right.
When, where?
And I think also developing positive ways of self-expression.
Okay. So is that a need, or is that a life skills?
It's a-
Life skills.
It's a life skill.
Self,
But it's also a need, because I think that our children a lot of them don't see themselves as having a future, or they don't see beyond the here and now. And so therefore, if they are stressed or agitated, they tend to act on the here and now without regard to consequences or whatever. But if they have a positive way to express themselves, then that will alleviate some of those issues.
yeah, so how to manage stress, anger, and every other thing.
Mental
Right, and negative outside influences.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And I was thinking about for the young brothers too, the Big Brothers program. They don't have that no more.
Okay. So.
So they just need more
Mentorship.
Mentoring.
Mentorship,
And a program that they used to have a long time ago when my son was little, what was that, the McGruff program? Right, where they taught the kids how to interact with one another, how to use conflict resolution.
Right.
I think that should be a part of elementary education,
Yeah.
to teach our kids how to positively resolve conflicts.
Yeah, and that program actually was also a way to have, was about community and police relations too.
Right.
Because it was like McGruff the crime dog, because the police might be really a bad thing, but you can't be, particularly with little kids, as you well know.
Right.
They were, there was a number of things that particular program was used for.
And it's a shame that they didn't keep that program, because they could really use it now. They learned how they could reach the younger kids, but they never developed a program really to reach the preteen and up to 21 or whatever.
Yeah.
And
That's still a problem.
and maintain that positive relationship.
Yeah, yes.
Something that, from everything I've heard, is a need would be youth engagement.
Okay.
So getting younger individuals involved in both civic activities as well as just general community activities that are positive and more.
Positive activity.
Exactly.
You can get them involved in lots of things.
Exactly. But it's not always the things that are good.
Yep.
And also, I would say the gap between seniors and our youth.
Okay, so how we, just say that?
Appreciation of their differences.
Generational. Youth, senior relations. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am?
Teaching them how to become young entrepreneurs
Okay.
and how to handle finances as they grow up, better invest in themselves and in their community and families.
Investing and owning.
And I think recreating the rites of passages programs would be beneficial.
Okay. All right, very good. It's a very good list, and I'm sure there's some of the lists so I'll go to the next slide that we're dealing with. So these are some big picture. I mean, y'all said all these same things. These are some of the issues that Fort Southeast is dealing with right now. Poverty is a big issue in Ward 8, unemployment, child maltreatment. I mean, I know it's a big part of the services they provide. Substance abuse is huge. Housing, healthcare, mental health counseling. Now, each one of these has its own. Some of these things are interrelated, right? And so as we're dealing with these things, we're going to get to how do you, because these are big things. So if you came up to me and said, I want to end poverty, like what Deanne was saying at the beginning, she has some big goals that they would like to put themselves out of business. Far Southeast would like to put itself out of business, but it can't say, but how do you end poverty? Well, you can't. That's a huge thing. So you can't. Ending poverty seems like it's too big, so we have to break it down into small chunks. And so what we're going to try to do now is to start breaking it down into small chunks. Have you guys, and have you talked a little bit? Do you feel like you're comfortable that you've broken the program that you would like to put together into small enough chunks into the work? Because we want to spend a couple of minutes on doing that right now. Into the work. And so when we're talking about ending poverty, let's just say substance abuse. So substance abuse, there are a number of programs that you have the Ward 8 Drug-Free Coalition, that we deal with. That's one of the programs here to deal with substance abuse, is trying to reach the youth specifically. So that program, they create videos, they do a number of things, and they have a council that's made up of all youth. So it's not 47-year-olds like me, getting up and talking to kids. It's kids sitting up there. They make the decisions, and there's some guidance given by people like Mr. Gay back here, and some other folks who are helping them guide it, but they're dealing with it. So that's one program to deal with substance abuse issue. How do you get kids thinking about positive things? And what you need to do, and I'm sure some of you have already done this, is how do you break down what you want to do to get into real work? Do you need some help? Do you need a few minutes to take some of that? Because that's going to be helpful as we go to starting to write the goals to doing that. We're going to do that a little later.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay.
I think,
Okay, all right, so let's spend just a couple minutes, taking these that we've written down for Ward 8 onto your own, or do you have those already, or are you struggling with any of those with your projects?
And I think another way, Robert, just to think about this is to think about what needs. So we talked about the needs of Ward 8, and those are those broad overarching needs, and we also, Robert, shared some of the needs that for our Southeast are actually trying to address. But now we'd like for you to think about more about what needs are your program addressing. So for example, with the veterans program, it sounds like you guys are clearly addressing a couple of needs, but we want you to just brainstorm all of the needs that you're currently addressing, or either the needs that you'd like to address. So whether that's homelessness among veterans, I think someone mentioned lack of nutrition or cooking skills or things of that nature. And then what we're going to do is we're going to show you how you take those needs and then start developing your goals and your objectives and then an evaluation plan.
So right now, write down just 3 of them, like three of those, because then we're going to talk about we're going to go right from the next slide is going to be about how to prioritize goals, because you got a big goal to end poverty, so we can't make everybody not poor tomorrow, you know, because we don't have the money to make them now, or whatever it is, but, anyway. Do you have any questions? Let's take a couple of minutes there, here, and then we'll go to the next piece of There's 3 of them.
You say needs?
Yes, needs.
Well, no. Yes,
Everybody knows
3 needs.
Because then we're gonna help you to prioritize those.
We're gonna prioritize.
So we're writing needs now.
Right.
Right.
The needs as it relates to to your specific programs as you're trying, that you are trying to address, because we talked about some of the big set of needs. You're probably not trying to address all of these needs at once. Yes. All right, so do we have a volunteer who wants to share their specific needs for their organization? The top 3? We got a volunteer?
Well, what I sense with my business, I cater to Section 8 voucher holders, but there is a major underlying issue with them.
Okay.
Their underlying issues, it's just not housing, that's one, but they're always the ones that come to me, and I've been doing it for 7 years. The ones that come to me are broken in a lot of different areas, and it's not just one it's due to their own circumstance, you know. So when one person comes, they might be battling with low self-esteem. One might be dealing with domestic violence. One might be battling with life skills, just knowing how to present themselves in life. Some might motivation. So with my business, I want to find out how can I incorporate all these issues, because I deal with it every day, all day. And I was doing perfect placements referral service as far as housing. I want to incorporate it with everything that I'm giving them on a day-to-day basis. I'm giving them more than just housing. I'm giving them, you know, motivation. I'm encouraging them. I'm uplifting them. Either if it's on a spiritual level, because I'm very spiritual, but I know you can't incorporate that when you're trying to get a grant, but that's what, you know, that's a really major project. They just giving up on life. They don't have a sense of guidance, and it's really not really knowing God. But I'm, you know, like I said, I don't want to incorporate that, but they have other underlying issues, substance abuse, mental health. I just want to, you know, find out the core of what their underlying problem is, because it's not just the housing. Housing is just to bring them into me, but it's way more other than that.
Okay, so I think you made a very good point, and I think it's a very good segue into our next conversation. If you look at your slides, there should be, if you turn your page, you'll see a slide that talks about prioritizing your needs.
We have one.
Oh, okay, awesome. And there was let me remind myself to stand over here. And there were a couple things that you said that really resonated with me. You said, there's so many needs. They have so many needs, and I just need to figure out how can I incorporate all of these needs. And I think that's the question that we all ask ourselves, right? I mean, when you're laying down at night and things are weighing on your heart and you're like, oh man, you know, or you're riding by that homeless person and you're like, I really wish I could help this person. And then when you start brainstorming all the things that they need, the list just gets too long, and some people actually get frustrated and they don't do anything. Or some people try to do everything, and then they may not be as effective. So here, this is an easy little chart for you to kind of prioritize what your needs are. And we can take your needs as an example and the needs that you've also identified. So for example, let's talk about some of these. Low self-esteem, and the way you do this is you just plot all of your needs on the graph. And so let's say low self-esteem, where we consider this, and I'm not gonna go through it because I think it's pretty easy, but is it an easy win? So let me back up and let me just explain this, maybe I do need to do this. So if you look here above this bar, you see all these things are easy to accomplish. And then down here, these are things that are difficult to accomplish. And then on the left-hand column, these are things that have a low impact potential. So it's helpful, but it may not necessarily, have that big of an impact. And then the items on this end would be those items that have a high impact. If this person had housing, it would have a tremendous impact on their life. Versus, we may know that they need, or we may know that they need clothes or something of that nature. While that's important, one of the things that may have a higher impact is to actually have housing. So what you can do is you can take some of the needs that you've identified, and I was going to work with some of these actually, and then you plot them on the chart. So low self-esteem, where would you think that falls? Is that would it be easy to accomplish with a low impact, or would it be easy to accomplish with a high impact?
I think easy. Well, with me.
And so you think it's easy to accomplish, and do you think
easy.
Okay, and do you think it would have a high impact on the lives of women, or would it have a low impact?
It will have a high, because if you think of yourself highly, if you love yourself, then it's really nothing that you can't accomplish or what you can't go through.
Okay.
So I would definitely think that it would be a high priority.
Okay.
Because, yeah.
Okay. So you said it is easy to accomplish and then a high impact potential.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna put that over here in this bucket. I'm sorry, I was looking at. We're gonna put that here. So let's go to another one. You said, and you may have to give me some more. Substance abuse.
Oh.
Is that easy to accomplish or difficult to accomplish?
It's difficult to accomplish, but
is it a low impact or a high impact?
It's a very high impact. You definitely can't do anything with being on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
You can't accomplish anything really with being on drugs. You can't get a job with being on drugs.
Okay.
So that is a definitely high impact, but it's very hard to get it to, get accomplished. But what I was thinking with my transitional house, the people that comes in, they can't be on any substance because they got to be tired of being tired.
Okay, and so I'm gonna help you get to there. I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because you also are kind of sort of following up on this. So I just want to regurgitate what was said. So in the highest priority, we have low self-esteem, and maybe I better put a note here. So I'll just do this as HP for high priority, highest priority, and then the substance abuse. We're going to say we're going to put that over here, because it's difficult to accomplish, but we know it'll have a high impact. So we're going to put that in this bucket called strategic ideas. So where's this at here? And then quickly let's go through. And then let's say housing. Where would you place housing?
High priority.
High priority, okay. Well, let's start with over here. So is it easy to accomplish?
In my field, it will be because they already have a Section 8 voucher.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah. And then it has a high impact, so we're going to put this into high priority as well. Okay. And then other people, what other types of? Because right now I want to have a few more. So what other needs, based on the description? What's your name? I'm sorry.
Sakina.
Sakina. Based on Sakina's description of the needs in the program that she described, what other needs do you see that we don't have listed? Employment. Okay.
Potentially legal assistance if they're in a domestic violence situation.
Okay. Legal assistance. And one more. What are some of the needs?
Family counseling.
Family counseling, okay. So we'll stop there. So what we're going to do is go through the rest of these, and then I want others to chime in. So employment. Who said that employment? Okay. Where would you place employment on this diagram here? Given her population.
Highest priority.
Highest priority. Okay. So you're saying it's easy to accomplish and it'll have a high impact. Okay. What about legal assistance? Who mentioned legal assistance, okay? Where would you place legal assistance?
I would say strategic ideas, because it can be very difficult to accomplish. Getting someone who is in a domestic violence situation to see the challenges that they're facing in that situation, because typically people aren't willing to accept some of the things that have happened previously. So I would say it's difficult, but can have a very high impact potential. People are able to get the resources they need, such as potentially a restraining order.
Exactly, awesome, okay. So strategic, okay, ideas. And then last but not least, I think family counseling. Who mentioned that one back here?
That would be a high priority.
Okay, so it's easy to accomplish and it would have a high impact.
Right. I don't know about it being easy.
Okay, so, okay, where would you place it? So now you're in between, so that we need to figure out is that, do you think getting family counseling for families, is that easy to accomplish or is that difficult?
It's not easy, so maybe it would be under strategic ideas,
Okay,
because the only thing that you can do is plant this, you can plant the seed and perhaps teach them some skills that will make them want to do that, but you can't do it for them. It's something that they have to be in a place in their life where they want to take advantage of that.
okay, yeah, so it looks like, and thank you for that. So just to be fair to our diagram here, who can think of an easy win? Clothing, okay. Let's put that in easy win. And who can think of a low priority, something that would be a low priority? So that means it would be difficult to accomplish, and it has a low impact potential. That's a tough one, actually.
Some things, aren't some things on a continuum, though, they're not all the way here, they're like more
I mean,
there
you're always gonna,
as
right.
it relates to difficulty?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, this is not, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. But again, this is, yeah.
Potentially, this would have the high impact long term, but low impact in the short term. So fixing someone's credit score can be very difficult to accomplish, but it might not immediately change their situation or where they're at.
Good one.
That's a really
That's
good
a
one,
good one.
because it's important, but it's not, not today.
Yeah, it's not something that'll fix your entire life if your credit score gets better.
Right.
And it takes time.
Awesome. And so once, and again, I think you guys have done a phenomenal job. And so once you have all of your needs listed, because again, when you're thinking and brainstorming, your needs are going to be longer than this list. I know you guys are you just being modest on us today, but I'm sure you have tons of needs that you can throw at us. What you then have to ask yourself is, where do I focus? Once I take a look at this chart and I see where my needs are all landing, what do I focus on? What do you think will be an easy one to focus on? The easy win. So the easy win, easy to accomplish, it's going to have a low impact potential, but you can knock that out of the park, right? And if you know that whatever that need is something that, it's going to be, it's not going to cause you a bunch of stress, then that's one of those things you can say, well, when I start thinking about my program or how I'm going to start deciding what I'm going to do, I definitely need to put this one in my toolkit. That's what I like to kind of call it. And then what other areas would you kind of pick or work on? Would you go after something that's a low priority or a strategic? What about strategic ideas? Would you go after a strategic idea?
I would try to break the strategic ideas down.
Good. Can you say that again?
I'll deal with that later, not right now.
Thank you. Right.
First thing first.
Exactly. A strategic idea is one of those things you put in your back pocket. You know you need to do it. And let's go back to this list. Okay, substance abuse. You know you need to do it, but it's one of those hard things. And there may be some things that are in this bucket that you probably need to focus on first. Or even get you an easy win. And sometimes easy wins are important because they make you feel like you've accomplished something. Yes. I organized that clothing drive and now everyone has clothes. I feel good. I'm off the tackle the world now. What else I'm trying to do here, And so again, and this is just a quick little exercise, and I think I encourage you to use this diagram, you know, whenever you're brainstorming anything actually. I mean, I use it not just to focus on these, but you can use it to focus on grocery store list, or, you know, I have my kids think about toys. I kind of change the words around here and they say, well, do you really need this toy? And how much of your allowance is it going to take? And those type of things. So, but do I have any questions before we transition to the next section? Any questions?
I would just like to say what affects the parents affecting our youth. Because when we get the parents in a position where they feel good about where they are in life, that's the trickle down situation. Our young people will be able to feel good about themselves. They'll do better because they see better. They know better. And so I think if we get our families unit straight, we get our parents and these women who are in situations where they can't help themselves because they can't help the kids. We gotta get where it starts.
Yeah, that's
We're
true.
at home, we gotta start there.
And
So let me ask you
I think also that the tunnel goes both ways. I think if you have a positive impact on one child or multiple children in a family, that also has an effect on the parents, because they see their child wanting more and knowing exactly what they want makes them want to do better or seek assistance to find out what they need to be doing better so they can give the kids what they're, you know, the new things that they're looking for.
The more you start brainstorming, the longer your what? Your list of needs are going to become. And I want to just piggyback on yours. Where would you put family engagement on this chart? You put it easy to accomplish and with a high impact potential? Is it easy to get parents to come to
PGA?
Yes. Where would you put it? That's probably where it is. I mean, it's one of those things, you know, that it's the foundation and it's the fundamental. I mean, and again, it all depends. This is not an absolute, because it all depends on what your program is about. Maybe your program is strictly about parent engagement. But just know you're going to be climbing an uphill battle depending on what you're trying to engage them in, right? And then you might have to have some of these easy wins where you say parent engagement, you may have to do a toy drive or something to bring them in, or, you know, you may have to be creative.
Or, I know one thing that I did, I would make little packets of art projects that the kids could take home and do at home. And I would say, well, you know, you and your parent do this together at home, and then you bring it back and present it to the class. And it would be a project maybe that would take 30 minutes or something like that. So that would mean that the parent and the child would have to engage and would have to engage with each other. And then when we had programs and stuff, get the parents to meet each other and sort of interact with each other so that they may be able to meet some of their own needs just by networking with each other. And
well, that's a great example. And again, you know, you can, once you understand what your needs are and where they are in terms of, you know, your ability to accomplish them, then you could, you know, you could put little activities or into your programming to help you address those things, but you're not just, you know, you're not addressing them directly.
right.
And one of the last things I would like to, on this point, because we're going to the next thing, great from here, but is that one of the things when you start talking about some of the biggest, the hardest to accomplish things, remember you have partners, because when you look at up on the board that says the family strengthening collaborative, and one of the biggest things that they deal with is family wellness. You know, and that means a whole lot of things. Wellness is about, you know, physically, about health. It's about mental health. It's about a lot of different things. And so, do not think of your program in a vacuum, because that's what we all think. I have to do mental health counseling. Guess what? APRA already does substance abuse counseling. You need to connect them. Sometimes you say you need to connect with another program. Sometimes the two of y'all need to get together if y'all dealing with veteran stuff and says, what's your unique, from a business perspective, I'm a small business owner, what's my unique value proposition? I do a lot of, so like in my business, we do a lot of graphic design work and other things like that. I'm not a graphic designer, but I got graphic design, you know what I'm saying? I partner with people who do graphic design, partner with people who do, we partner together, like Deidre and I are partners, but she does a lot of event management and media outreach and stuff, and I do a kind of content creation, but when you, cause if you think of yourself, but together we do this, so
Yeah.
she can go sell what I do and what she do,
Yeah.
and we sell graphic design, and again, that's the one thing that we all make them we're too small. And so that's what these grants are trying to do, is to make sure that you build capacity. So you say, my capacity, I'm strong because I can call on this brother right here, Mr. Gay right here, because I can call him because I know he's a resource and his boss is already, they care about this work.
Right.
So they give you a grant and they want you to succeed. So they're gonna also give you access to some of the people that are working with them.
Yeah.
So again, as you think about what you're trying to solve, remember, you don't have to solve it all because there's something already out here. Some things you better not doing because there's somebody else already doing it.
Right.
And they're gonna do it better than you.
Right.
So, you know,
Yeah, all right, well, thank you. Any questions before we go into a break?
we're gonna have a, yeah, oh, sorry. Question? So we're gonna have a 15-minute break or so, you know, and there's food back there, some water, so we're not gonna, let you not think about this for a little while, then we'll come back and get into about specific, actually writing goals and objectives and how to evaluate what you're doing. So,
And in the spirit of evaluation, just as a reminder, we do have an evaluation form that we'd love for you guys to fill out. I'm counting, we have 2, 4, 6, we need 8 forms back if you don't mind. Because again, this is important in order for us to know how to improve these workshops. This is our first workshop and we like to be as responsive as possible to your needs.
yes. All right, thank you very much. So we're gonna reconvene about 5 after or so, is that right? Or 6 o'clock.
What do you,
5 after.
oh, what else? We'll wait for a few more minutes. I think we have 2 of our participants, so give them a few minutes to trickle in.
Now he was looking at me, like,
Forget about that.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, want to make sure we kind of stay on time here. So our next segment, we're going to talk about writing effective goal statements. And so here, what we're going to do is basically take the exercise that we just did around the needs, and then determine how do we start crafting goal statements around this. And we have paper on the desk for you guys. Oh, before I go, I want to talk. So what I'd like for you to do is write. What's the goal of your program? And it sounds cliche, but people ask that question all the time, don't they? As soon as you meet them, oh yeah, what's your name? Oh, I'm such and such. What program do you do? I do such and such. Oh, what's the goal of your program? What's the goal of your program? So, one more minute, because normally you should be able to, your goal is really your selling point. It's that 1 minute high level, that one sentence that's high level that can determine whether or not a funder continues to talk to you about opportunities that may be available, or if they listen, but they're not really listening. They're just listening to you talk, but they may have kind of said, oh, okay, maybe she don't quite know what she's going to do. Okay, so now, do I have any volunteers to share? And again, this is a working session, so there's no wrong goal statement, but we're just going to work with you in terms of how to strengthen your goal statement. So yes, back here.
Yes, life skills for young teens, ages 6 to 16.
Okay, all right. Who else wants to share? Okay, I know, I'm telling you, I was eating too, so.
To provide supportive services for veterans and their families.
Okay, all right. One more, can I have one more? Okay, back here in the back.
To teach youth how to
You
use.
guys all have good goal statements, and I want you to keep that statement that you have, because again, we're gonna do some exercises and activities where we're gonna kind of walk through what those statements are. So here I just list a couple of things about, a couple of descriptions of goal statements. So what is a goal? Goals are normally broad, they're general. I like to call them warm and fuzzy, you know. They're usually something that is hard to measure. Not saying that you can't measure, but it's kind of hard to measure. It establishes the overall direction for your program. So, you know, if you've identified a need and out of all your needs that you've identified and housing is your focus area, then when you talk about your goal should set your direction for getting that housing, right? Or helping people to get housing. Your goal serves as the foundation for developing your program objectives. So whatever your goal is, everything that comes after that, your objectives, your activities, your measure, your indicators, everything should be built around that goal. And then lastly, another way to think about a goal is it describes what your program, and that's a typo, plans to accomplish, not plans. So now thinking about the goal that you just wrote, how does your goal line up to some of these things here? Or what are your thoughts? It's okay, we don't have to have pretty much, okay, good, pretty much covers it. Okay, so, I gotta get this right. Okay, so again, most goal statements, you know, even though people, in your head you say, I think I know what a goal is, you know, I kind of know what my goal is. And, you know, but when we start having to articulate what that goal is, it's somewhat difficult. But again, these are just a few tips and strategies in terms of how to craft your goal statement to make it work for funders and for you as well. So normally a goal statement consists of three main areas. It has an action verb, and I forgot I have a list here.
I'll pass it out.
Okay, oh, don't worry about it, I can do it. It has an action verb, and this is just a list of them. It has an object, and then it has modifiers. And no, I am not going to go into an English class, so don't worry about it. People, a couple of you guys had a preposition. So my goal is to, and then you're going to do something. So my goal is to, what are you going to do back there? Give me an action verb, and you can use the cheat sheet that I have on there. And those are all action verbs. Use the sheet. It can come in handy actually when you're writing and crafting applications. My goal is to
mentor young teens.
Mentor, good job. That's a good one. Mentor, okay. So my goal is to mentor, yeah, your object, and your object is a noun or a pronoun. Her object is young teens. Like the object of, that's the one where you can think about it as the object of my affection, or, you know, something of that nature. So my goal is to mentor young teens, and then you have to have a modifier, which is a description. A short, easy way to say it. So to mentor young teens. Okay. Oh, okay. So to mentor young teens, for what purpose? Okay. For them to mentor young teens.
Life skills, etiquette.
Okay, to mentor young teens to provide life skills and etiquette training, okay? And you're providing life skills and etiquette for what purpose?
To help them invest, to help them in the society, our society now today.
Right, so exactly. So that's a modifier, excuse me. The modifier basically is a word or a phrase that kind of describes the object, for lack of a, without getting too technical. Or describes what it is, how you want to impact the object, put it like that, or affect the object. So I'm gonna make sure I remember this, and I'm sorry my memory's not that good. So your goal is to, and we're just doing this on the fly, this is brainstorming, so there's no wrong answer. So based on what she said, the goal is to mentor young teens to,
Like for life skills.
no, we talk, yeah, okay, so you said you're gonna, that's what you want to do. But remember we asked, why are you giving them life skills and these other things? You said something else after that.
For our society today,
To help them.
in the society today.
Okay, right. So my goal is to mentor young teens to help them be productive members of society.
Okay.
Bam. Or citizens. You know, when we can wordsmith it after we get our thoughts down. That's a goal statement. Just that simple. And again, you know, so let's work on some more goal statements. What was your original goal statement that you had? Can you read the original one you had for us? It's okay. This is a learning process.
I wrote to provide children ages 7 to 12 with knowledge of food safety, meal preparation, nutritional values in order to help them make informed healthy food choices and skill career skills and equip them with independence.
Awesome. She has
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty long, lengthy goal statement. But if you had to think about a way to, because remember, exactly, you have to shorten it because a goal statement is that, I mean, on paper, if you want to write it that long, that's fine. But even then, sometimes you want to be able to pull that goal statement, right, and use it as a marketing tool. So do we want to, who else has, I want to read some more. What about yours? You want to share yours or you? It's okay. Are you?
I teach the youth to tap into their God-given talent.
Okay.
And through entertainment.
Okay.
So that's what I'm targeting them for.
Okay. So your goal is to give me an action verb. To
teach them.
Okay. Teach. The them is the youth.
Mm-hmm.
Teach youth. Okay. We just kind of brainstorm this other one. Teach youth. Give us some information. More phrases that gives us information about the.
What did you say?
You said tap into something?
Tap into their God-given talent.
Talent. Okay. So the goal of my program is to, and again, it's warm and does that feel warm and fuzzy to you all? I know it feels warm and fuzzy. Right? You know, so my goal is to teach youth how to tap into their talents, their God-given talents. Okay. Anyone else want to share? And I'm hoping that what's happening is that as you're looking at the goals that you originally wrote, you're able to start refining them to kind of sort of fit some of the parameters that we're putting here. Does anyone else want to share? What about yours?
I just changed it because I incorporated the things that I, do.
Okay.
So I don't know, I just put to create an awareness of all resources that the DC area has available to DC residents. But
that's it.
That's good.
That's it. That is your goal. And when you go and you shake your hand and they say, my name of my program is Resource Now. And they say, what's the goal of your program? It is
to create awareness of all the resources that the DC area has available to DC residents.
Bam. One sentence. That's how sweet and simple it should be. Now, as you progress through this and get to your objectives, it gets a little bit more complicated. It's not, it's not as simple. And then I also want to add that oftentimes for certain programs, you have multiple goals. I'm not going to go into that right now. We just want to kind of keep it short and simple. But I did want to mention that there can be multiple goals in our program. I don't know, to give them to find them some clothing. I mean, that could be, it's not your goal. It's probably an activity that you want to incorporate to help you meet a certain objective. But all of your goals should actually go back to your needs. So make sure that it's consistent. Check yourself because funders will. If you submit a grant application and you got to put that background and needs section, they all ask you for their background, right? And in your background, you're talking about how bad things are and the kids need to be educated and they don't know how to do this, that, and the third. And then your goal is totally out of alignment. That's gonna hurt you. So you want to make sure that your goals are consistent with your needs. You also want to this is very important. I think it's something that we were just talking to this young lady about. But you want to make sure that your goals are aligned with your funders' goals and values, right? And, you know, again, I said about the multiple goals, sometimes you could have a program, but then you may pick up a funding opportunity, and it's similar or it's aligned with what the needs are. And, you know, you may say, how do I I don't want to say revamp, but how do I, I'm just going to say revamp because I don't want to hold it. How do I revamp my goals to meet the needs of the funders? Or, yeah.
Let's and while we're talking about funds, so I don't want to read it just because it's important that some of these already, when you want to align yourself with the people that you're trying to get funding from, to act as a catalyst to develop, nurture, and sustain partnerships of residents, agencies, and institutions in the Southeast community, and to create a healthy socioeconomic environment through which every child and family has an opportunity to achieve their maximum potential and to lead a productive life. So, and I don't think anything that you said tonight is not in line with that, but you always want to come back to that, because that's when, so like a mission statement, like, because a lot of times as a business or as an individual, you can get out of whack when you forget what it is that you said you wanted to do when you were starting. So.
And then I mean, because this is a class with the ultimate goal of helping you to get funding, I wanted to put that in there. Because again, your program is your program. Oftentimes, you know, I'm not saying be a chameleon. That's not what I'm saying. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. But what I'm saying is that if you know that you write your goal statement a certain way, and then you pick up this newsletter and they say, we're offering funding to organizations that want that, you know, what we're trying to do is tackle illiteracy in Ward 8. Okay, if you want to, you know, you want to make sure that whatever needs that your organization is focusing on and whatever goal statement you put in that grant application, it needs to tie back into the need that your funder is trying to address. So that's all. And then the last thing is that, you know, ask yourself, do your goals describe a desired performance or what you aim to achieve? Do they tell people at the end of the day what it is that you want to accomplish, basically? And I think all of the statements that I've heard actually have done that. You want to help kids achieve their God-given talent. You want to help, I forgot what yours was, I'm just talking about.
Section 8 voucher holders find places. And
right, finding a place to stay. And then yours was you.
To be a better citizen.
Right, to be a better citizen, right. And so, again, you want to make sure that you have that there, because that kind of sort of gives you, not only your funder something to say, okay, well, you want to do this, it's aligned with what I want, what I need done, right, because it's their need. People put out funding opportunities because they have needs. So, okay, their goal statement is aligned, right, it's like, what am I going to get for the funds that they're requesting? Oh, well, they're going to aim to do X, they're going to aim to do Y. And again, we're going to get a little bit more specific when we get into objectives, but these are just some general descriptors of how you can start thinking about goals. All right, and so that's it for the goal section. Any questions? Anyone need clarification on anything? Do you feel like your goal statements are stronger? By show of hands, who feels like their goal statements are stronger? Okay. Well, at least I feel like, you know, we're getting there. Awesome. Okay, so I'll turn it over to my colleague Richard here to talk about writing effective objectives.
Call him Richard.
That's like, I need some coffee, caffeine, you know? Energy level gets me, sorry.
So objectives, the next portion is objectives. So big goal statements. So like if we were talking the other day with Dion about if we had to write a small statement about what, you know, like to make that the mission statement a little bit shorter, to improve family wellness and reduce child maltreatment. You know, but those are big goals. But in order to get there, you got to have stepping stones. And so when you start thinking about objectives, that's what objectives are, stepping stones. How am I going to get there? You know, and that's the hard part. That's the work. That's the work plan. If you're a business, you say it's a work plan, and everybody needs a work plan. And so that's what. So I just want you to the big picture of what objectives are. Objectives are, you know, so the goal is this big thing that we're shooting at, and then we got to find a way to get there. And so now we're going to find a way to get there. And so objectives. Let's go to the next slide here. So this is something that you will hear many more times if you stay with these, for Southeast, some more. So in order for, when you, objectives have to be, a lot of people will talk to you about SMART objectives. They have to be smart, and we're just gonna go through it. And I know everybody can read, we're gonna say it because sometimes when you hear it, if you think about it a little bit differently, and it sticks in, you have to be specific, and it means, exactly what you're gonna get done. And that means exactly, because when someone's looking at your application, and they don't know you, a lot of times the people who are reading your application, they don't know you. They don't know anything but what you put on a piece of paper. So if it's not on a piece of paper, then it don't exist. And you don't get to go there. They're not gonna call you about it. So they go, because the application process is very specific. It says you have to turn the application by a specific date, and it has to have everything that we've asked for, or it don't exist. So again, exactly what needs to be done. It has to be measurable. How can you, achievement of process can be measured. So if we're doing a housing program, if we're doing homeless vets, for instance, homeless vets, how many touches with people did you have? It's very specific. How many touches did I have? How many people actually then got some help? And how long, and if you have some, so that it's very short measurement, and we're gonna get the measurement a little bit more, a little later, but it's measurable immediately, and then some kind of longitudinal, are they still in housing 6 months from now, 12 months from now? I don't know. Maybe because you're dealing with people who've been homeless, a 3-month hurdle is huge, but or 6 months is another, and at a year you can show that, and then somebody say, wow, maybe we need to help these folks, help you get bigger, because again, so that's measurable, achievable. Is it realistic? So, because if you go to someone and say, well, I want every person that I deal with, I want them to be millionaires next year. Well, I'm probably not gonna deal with you, because it's like, going from homeless, not to say that it can't happen, but the likelihood of that happening is gonna be, that's probably not gonna fly with most folks. Again, realistic, is it impossible? Is it possible to attain? And then timed, which means that you've set a specific time period for how you will get there. And then we can do an example. We want to play with the idea of so given this, can everybody take a few minutes to take a stab at one SMART objective? That based on the goal, let's for a minute just write one of these. So, and it has to have all of those things. So I'm gonna give you an example. So by October 31st, we will do whatever that is. We will serve this many clients, or that many, or whatever it is that you're. So let everybody take a few minutes to write one objective.
And then I also like to add that, objectives are normally written in the active tense, and they use strong verbs. So, use your verb sheet, because there are a bunch of verbs on there that would be really useful to you when you're writing those objectives.
So do anybody have any questions about any of these things? I can, so we can go into some more detail.
When you write objective, it should answer who, what, when, why, and how do I know it worked? And how do I know what the standard is for assessing whether or not it has worked? And then also remember that they should always tie to your goals. They're kind of like those stepping stones that you need to take to accomplish your goal. So if your goal is remember the goal is broad, fuzzy, and warm. But now we're going to say, hey, these are the steps I'm going to take to accomplish that warm and fuzzy goal. And it can't just be warm and fuzzy steps. They have to be concrete, smart steps.
Would you want, okay?
Anyone else want to come in? Or just take a look?
I find that the art objectives are very, it's hard to measure though.
Right. So how, tell them now, okay, but I said, tell them they're provide service. Okay, that's good, between the age. And but what service? So because so you're not specific, yeah, the specific service, yeah, tell me a specific service. Like, so what do you do with the kids? So if I come in and I want to, so let's say, what time does the kid come in?
Well, see, I work with other programs, so it depends on, like, the first grant I got, I worked with Rec Center in Berry Farms.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
So I was there from 1 to 5. And I did them with my age groups. So, and I was there for, each group had about an hour and a half. Because I figured half an hour to settle them down. And then an hour for them to, or 45 minutes for them to actually do the project, and then 45 minutes for them to clean up, whatever. And I would do couple days a week, I had 40 kids. I was supposed to have 20, I ended up having 40. So what I ended up doing was, I had a partner, so we did kindergarten, and then we did the 7 to 9, and then we only had up to 12 last time, so we did the 7 to 9, and then we did the 9 to 12.
So I would have goals for all those different things because then like this, so there's a lot of different things in there. So you work with, so this 5 to 15 is actually, it's 3 different groups that you do. So you have different programs, so you develop some kind of program for all those, this kind of, is it somewhat different?
Yeah, it would be somewhat different for instance, the kindergartners, it would be really easy things, whereas as the ages get older, the projects might get longer.
So do you already have a sort of curriculum, at least for each one of those programs?
I have a business plan and I sort of have a curriculum.
So one is the business. So there's a lot of things here. So one is to write your business. Go ahead and write your business.
I have that.
Okay, so let's just say finalize your business plan by 2 weeks from now.
Okay, it's already done.
Or if it's already done.
Yeah.
So, but put it on your thing and check it off, so that you've done your business plan by whatever day. So let's just say, have you had someone read it and edited it?
Yeah, I went through the AED.
Okay, so you went to AEDC, so you got that. So then you said finalize, build curriculum for each age group. So that's one for, kindergarten or whatever that is, and then the 7 to 9, and then the 9 to 12.
Right.
So that's 3 different goals. And see, when you break it down into these small chunks, then you start to be able to check things off, because you can say, I'm going to take a week to do that, a week to do that, and by the end of the 4th week, you've got 4 things already accomplished. And then you get to, then I'm going to provide classes in what?
No, we doing,
And you want to be specific, like you made this is actually a lot of goals in there. And 3 of them are right here,
Okay.
so it builds the curriculum
So
3 times. Each one of those,
Find out how to build the curriculum.
right, but, and the thing is, we don't wanna make that doesn't have to be the most, the biggest thing in the world. A curriculum can be, like, just be what your art projects are, just build it, like, it doesn't have to be, I'm not asking you to go and say, at the moment, you don't have to go and, you don't to go and build one that's gotta be vetted by someone, a real curriculum, I'm saying, what are we doing? You can call it a lesson plan.
Okay.
A lesson plan for each, so that, and the reason you want to do that is because you want to be able to say, so if I'm not here today, what are these kids supposed to be doing? They're supposed to, so that maybe, and you want to have time, in each one of those things, you want to say, the first 10 minutes it takes to settle them down. So when we settle down for the first 10 minutes, we're going to do a calming exercise for the next 5 minutes, like whatever, an icebreaker type situation, and then we're going to get into the project. And on Mondays, we do a project construction paper or whatever it is, so whatever it is, a mini art project, that art project takes 30 minutes. And then we know we start winding down and cleaning up for 10 minutes, and then we put all the stuff away and whatever, and we dismiss. So it could be as simple as that. Just so that another person.
So, and sit down and decide, like, if it's gonna be an 8-week program, how many projects am I gonna do?
Right. How many different projects are you gonna do? Because you may not do it different, because what you might do is you might say, we're gonna have the same project, there's 3 variations of the same project. Or sometimes you don't have the same kids every day, so you don't have to do a new thing like, if you make a pottery, we're gonna make pottery 4 times during this project. Or if the kids already made pottery, make something else. It's like, okay, you made a bowl, so now you make now you're gonna make a salsa, or a company salsa. So that way, you now have that real development, because that's what everybody wants to find. They need something they want more specific in the future. And so again, you got to.
So let's go back to our
build a lesson plan for kindergarten for what does a 1-hour program do? Is that what it was, 1 hour?
Yeah, and I found out that I was always running out of town because, as you said, I didn't account for the transition time, I didn't account for the icebreakers, I didn't account for the cleanup.
Right, and so we do event management, so you have to.
So actually, it would probably be 2 hours.
Right.
Because when you figure out, it's gonna take them maybe 15 minutes to transition from whatever else they were doing to whatever, and giving their full attention. Then the icebreaker, how are you all today, blah, blah, blah. So then, if that's a half an hour right there, and then if you then you have to have maybe 20 minutes to maybe explain what the project is, make sure that everybody understands what the project is, and pass out your materials.
Well, see,
So I need to, I guess, break it down.
You need to break it down like that. And see, when you start talking about, so you need things that explain those. So you should build those materials. So that you have a board like this, that what are we gonna do? You're gonna say, you make a poster that says, so here's what we're doing today. So that poster, so that's on the poster, like, it's difficult, like, this is our first time we're together. But, so we had to, we're still figuring a little bit of out. But we had to come up with like, okay, how long are you gonna take on that? Who's gonna do which part? And so that we're gonna, because we know what kind of time we have. And so you gotta build it in time. It doesn't matter if you want to be, whatever time you gotta, it's only the time that exists. And you have to time it out and all of these things in play every minute. But, and if you have giveaways, like fine.
Right, or
This
whatever
is a
you want
take-home
to
test,
do
so you're good to go as you're
create
ready.
awareness of those housing issues.
So I didn't think about that, and I actually worked for a program,
I mean, even though you can keep.
and that was part of the problem I had with the program, is
See what I'm saying?
that
Here you said
I
what
didn't
type of resources.
understand exactly what she was asking me for, but now
So let's see if
that
you can do another
you
goal.
say those things
Think about
to
this.
me,
What?
I kind of understand better that I can't say that it's a 1 hour program when in actuality it would be probably.
Okay,
Whereas
right, I'm
on
bring-
the
So I want to bring up
project,
one more
we
thing
take
right
an
quick, and this
hour
is just one of the things that we,
put
just to help everyone kind of get an
preparation
understanding.
time and the
There's
cleanup time.
multiple types of
transition.
objectives.
Right.
So I just want to stop and say there's multiple types of objectives. Some of them are process-related objectives, and then some of them are impact. So process objectives are, I am going to get 25 people into Y. I am going to print 100 flyers, or I am going to disseminate 100 flyers in this ward by January 25th. So that's a process-related objective. It's giving you the who, what, when, where, and why, but it's related to a step, a process. Then you have your outcomes objectives, right? So what is going to be the outcome? I am going to improve knowledge of, I am going to increase by 20% the knowledge of housing resources in DC. I wouldn't do that personally because then you have to measure that increase, but I'm just giving out examples here. That wasn't a really good one. But that's an outcome. So the objective is tailored towards what is the ultimate outcome. Because I've heard a mix of outcomes and process objectives. And oftentimes you're going to need both, right? You do need that ultimate outcome objective. Why? Because you're going to tie that back to your goal. Remember we said our goal is what we want to ultimately achieve. So therefore you do need a process objective to measure what it is you ultimately wanted to achieve. But, and again, in order for you to achieve what you ultimately wanted to achieve, so let's go back to the outcome. I'm going to do a better one. So let's say my outcome objective is to, here's one, reduce recidivism by 25%. By February 1st, 2017, I will reduce recidivism for residents in Washington Highland by 25%. That's an outcomes objective, right? But now if I had to think about, well, let me give a process objective, because guess what? Before I get there, there's a couple things I need to do, right? Maybe it's housing. I am going to help 25 reoffenders or re-entering sisters and brothers. I don't know why I said it like that. Returning citizens, there you go. I am going to help 25 returning citizens write resumes by March of 2016. And that, because that process those process objectives need to come before, right? That outcome objective. That's another thing you have to worry about when you're timing them out. So I just wanted to make people aware of that, because I don't want you to feel like you're stuck. And I also wanted, to let you know that you're going to have multiple objectives, and those objectives actually tie into or become indicators that tie into your evaluation plan.
And one of the things we were talking about, you mind if we share? One of the things we were talking about, like by September 30th, we want to provide services to 50 youth between the ages of 5 and 15, which is good. But there's a lot of work that goes into it, because because first of all, we have to have a lesson plan for each one of those, and there's work in there. So there's 3 or 4 or 5, and then we also need materials for it to show, because in order to, each kid, when they come to the class, you have to transmit what is going to go on in that class. Well, instead of just telling them every time, you can make a poster. And so it says, because kids, they'll get in line if they tell you, okay, here's where we are in the process, and then you go to the next thing, and so they got markers. Okay, now we're at this thing, and again, we've all doing that. So anyway, so there's a lot of, sometimes you think you've gotten a big goal and then you're stuck, and then there's like a lot of smaller things that you don't think about that go into it.
Right, and I think that's a really good example of a process. That's an objective, that's a process objective. I didn't want to get this detail in the weeds, but I think just listening to folks, I thought it would be important to mention it. Go ahead.
I just wanted to piggyback on what you said.
Okay. You wanna share
I
yours
want
with
to know.
Okay.
I want to eliminate it also.
So that does help.
Yeah, I
It's
did.
like
For my
you have
nonprofit that will have a 30-year.
Is that-
Because, only because
You
they have a
have
time
the
frame
outcome
of
objective.
finding a place.
So when
And they
actually,
will find
when I'm
within
writing
time
the
frame.
objectives, I should
Okay,
have
so
the
you
outcome objective, and then also have processes objective.
Exactly, because again, they help pull you through time. You know, like you gotta figure out, why are we doing this in the first place? And so it's not just about what you wanna do, because I just wanna make a lot of money. But it's like, so I don't show a client that I've added value to them, and they're not gonna give me any money, because it don't matter what I wanna do, it matters what I've added value to them, and whether I can show
So
them.
your objective is, remember, it's getting
And then
so my
trying
objective
to
is
make that
to
how easy it is
increase,
to
put it
be,
in the worst way to put it,
to scale it.
I should say.
And what these process objectives is,
As well
making
as
that
increase
that helps you be able to do that program. That helps you to be able to give that program to me and say, here's, I want you to do, or you can get an intern that's working with your community person and say, you know what, I want you to do all of these three things, like you're gonna
And
take
then you
care
got
of
to put
the
time,
time.
so by graduation,
I want you to handle these kids through this process until you get to
You
work.
got it?
And I'm gonna use the art.
Can I hear you?
You can get them all the way, and then they also know what's happening. They start the cleaning process too, because again, you've already worked on it. You've already given, and they don't have to guess, because sometimes you're a job, like you said, where somebody has kind of given you some direction on that. And now if I go on my job, it's kind of tell somebody to do it, and I know how to do it, I haven't told them exactly how to do what it is that I need done. So that's what this is telling someone else how to do it.
Okay, that, you know, this is making a lot of sense. And now I see what my former employer was trying to get me to do. But she wasn't able to put it in words so that I understood exactly what she wanted, because every week I would give her a lesson plan or a project, the steps to the projects, the material that we needed. But now I understand that she needed a little bit more than just that, but she wasn't able to verbalize what exactly she wanted me to do, whereas I understood that my goal was to have the, improve the kids' interpersonal skills by getting them to talk to one another and work on projects together and talk to me, whatever. That way, I can pick up on things if there's if there's a learning disability or whatever, I can pick up on that. And, the previous summer, I had a little boy who the counselor didn't tell me that he had a problem, developmental issues. So when I talked to the parents and I was telling them, okay, well, I noticed that he's got a development issue. Well, I didn't say that. I told him what I noticed on the day and how I had to sit him next to me and walk him through the step by step. And he was saying, yeah, I appreciate it. So he appreciated it. So I was saying, well, maybe in school he needs a one-on-one to walk him through the steps and say, okay, now we're going to do this. And help him with the transitions, because he seemed to have a problem with transition.
That becomes part of the protocol around the early childhood education. So they have here on that early childhood, in the classroom, so they have things that people, so that the teacher don't have to think about it. They're like, there's some things, and then it escalates. If you can't, the classroom teacher can't, then the type manager may have to shut it down. Or somebody who's unemployed, because that kid now needs one on one. And so what you write that all down, that's protocol.
Right.
So, all right, well, very good. Well, thank you. You're welcome. So that's where you're working. Okay, you have any help? Or you want to write Yeah. Yeah, so I can see, and I'm looking, so that one of the things you want to do is like here, to break that down to like if you passing out five, how many times do you do that? Like when is it going to like if you want to do it by April, but how many times do you want to do it? Can you have a flyer grade? So you got to create flyers. One thing you got to do is create a flyer. So that's one thing. You might be able to do that by next week. So right, that's one by whatever. I need to create a flyer that tells them about services that we want to
working at FSFSC.
That's one.
So she's out there. Wait till I tell her I'm
You know, by whatever date, I mean, you can change the dates, but. Well, see, what I would do before that, I would like, yeah, you can finalize flyer by creating or whatever it is, but I would say I would give myself a preliminary deadline where I'm saying I'm gonna create a draft by next week, because you can create a draft, and then they have someone review the draft, and that way you got something that keeps you working to the goal, because one of the things that you gotta have, keep having goals, because if it's all on April 15th, you don't wanna have everything due on April 15th.
And again, just a reminder, ask yourself, do your objectives answer who, what, when, why, and to what standard?
Right, who's gonna do it, yeah. Who is gonna do what, when, why,
What standard? And the standards are really those numbers you put, this percentage, this increase, you know, this amount, those type of things, depending on whether or not it's a process or,
So it's worse.
right, and then you need to recruit, because this is part of your recruitment, this is actually part of your recruitment, because you need that when you get to recruit. Because you don't even have, you don't have a recruitment tool. So a flyer is a recruitment tool. Was that? That's what it is, because I mean, this flyer is just a tool. I mean, like if you shovel out the snow, then when you shovel, that's how it takes to shovel. If I give you a broom, it's gonna take a long time to get it out of there.
So,
Right, yeah. So then you need a team. Do you need a team? You gotta recruit a team, right?
You all right?
Or you gotta do it yourself. But yeah, what does my team need? You know? Do you need t-shirts to show that you're a part of the company? That you Right, I'm going together because I have to look like if we do an event manager, we'll have shirts with whatever you say, event team, so people know that they need to know. I don't want them to get looked at my event.
sometimes it's,
The same thing.
looking at a whole day of land and what she wants to do.
Okay, they work.
Okay, so I'll get Eric on, I'm gonna send him an email now and tell him to make sure we sit down.
Now,
We
make
got
the
to
right
sign it
sign.
already.
Sign it. And maybe be a friend to you. You know, you probably got two friends who got
Sign it, and then what we'll do is, and then,
right, you know, again, that's your.
and what we'll do is we'll set up, we'll set up a session where we'll sit down, we'll go over it together.
I was like, I put something.
Because if it was something that, again, I don't want to be said that you wasn't working correctly, because you've been funded before. So it doesn't necessarily mean that. And then we also look at how many grants were funded in comparison to the priorities, in comparison to how much money we had to fund for that site. So it may not be that. So hold tight. Okay, so go ahead and complete that piece, and then I need you to do this.
I did that one.
You did?
Yeah, I gave it to Eric.
Deanna, we need anything else?
No, they're good. They're good. You all right, Teresa?
All right.
Kenny,
I know.
oh, I'm sorry. That's the only reason why I said.
Oh, you going like that? I said, well, I was surprised.
No, we're gonna bring it out of it too. Yeah, so that's the only reason why. He was on.
So what they're gonna do, just talk about the young lady, she was talking about the same thing. Because if you come with me and say, I got a program, you say, give me something. That's why people pass out loud. You gotta be wide down the program you get to. She could be just 1.5. That's how you go, that's your
Last year.
I need to have a new location this time too, because they have that big breakfast.
It's like, and then it's like,
A company basically mass Like they basically just like
well, yeah, I mean, you should say, you know, I mean, because you can say how many flyers or whatever it is, or you could just say one, you can say how much, they have to read a flyer,
but they did like if anyone
probably
has been with us for 2 years, you were never like
because your email would not, so that'll be,
it was one of
send it out
those
to your friend.
No.
So that's the one to buy a brief. That was something personal. Don't want to forget what happened at one time, you want to see what's the precursor.
My brother's name is Kenneth. But I know it's not the same. Because I know his wife.
So objective is to get just sign contract, so that's sign contract is objective. And that's a big thing, because now you gotta sign contract, you gotta get somebody to read, you gotta get the draft, you gotta negotiate terms, you still negotiate terms. So all the things that help you get all the things, you start checking off those, so that by the time you get to the signed contract, you've checked off 5 objectives.
and then basically the only thing that was like doors and church, all those things.
All
So like in the free library.
and you like that makes us all feel like yeah, that's what a stepping stone, like, we're trying to get across, I gotta go across the river. In order to get across the river, I can't just jump across the river, because I can't stroke, I can't jump. So I have to stone, and then by the time I picked up my stuff, I got into the end of the road.
My father was a child, but he had a cousin, is your husband have Russell insurance?
Insurance is all I can think.
But I know it's just him and his brothers that's never wanted to Massachusetts. They got one only sister.
DCRA has a good check. Y'all check this when I started my business 4 years ago. Go through and check out one at a time.
I don't know my father's family that well.
It'd be cool.
I just kind of started getting to know them.
At least one
but I just think that's funny. I guess Kenny and Jackson, everybody thought Kenny and Jackson went together. My brother's middle name is Eugene.
Yeah, we can screw it. All right, so thank you guys very much. You've been doing good.
So, how do folks feel?
Good.
Those are good words. Better, good. Okay, great.
Much better.
All right, so very good. So I'm sure we didn't get everything you needed right there with those, but I think we started moving towards making much smaller chunks, those objectives into much smaller chunks, because we were just talking to this young lady who was gonna need a business license. Well, getting a business license is tough because you got 20 things, you need all these things, and I was like, you make each one of those objectives so that you're still checking them off, and then you finally get to check off the big goal. Because it's not, don't just put one goal on there, because then you'll never, it feels like there's no movement. You wanna keep inching toward that goal. All these things that keep inching toward that goal. And so, anyway, so I think you guys are doing a lot of good work, and so thank you very much. I think
It made a lot of sense when you said there were process objectives and outcomes, because it just made it a lot easier for me to think, okay, this is what I want to accomplish, but these are the objectives that I have to accomplish that one.
Right.
It just made the mental process a lot easier.
Awesome, we're glad we could be helpful. So we're moving, I know it's late, so we're gonna move right along and hopefully, okay, here we go.
Yep. We're gonna get to
Program evaluation 101. So now we talked about our needs, right? Everyone knows what needs they wanna go out there and tackle. We talked about what our goals are, at least everyone has one goal. Then we've broken that goal up into objectives. So we've said, okay, this is the goal. These are the small little steps that I need to take in order to accomplish my goal. And the goals are, my goals. And so now you need to say, someone gave you, they believed in that part, so they're gonna give you $25,000, or let's say $2,500, actually, let's be more real, let's be like $2,500 to accomplish those goals and objectives that you just presented to them, okay? And so I want you to think about if it was accomplished, that they gave me the money, I made my pitch, they gave me the money, bam, I accomplished it, what's gonna be my headline? What's my results? What are my results? So I'd like for everybody to think about if you were able to implement your program and the Washington Post came and interviewed you, what would be your headline? This is also another way to start thinking about what your goal is. You could do a backwards, plan in here too. But what's your headline? Here I have a few. Program works to increase access to food across Michigan. It works. Big Brothers Big Sister programs improves graduation rates. Headline. Drug court proponent says program reduces crime and costs. What's your headline? So I'll give you about 1 minute to write those headlines. And this is like helps you. This is visioning as well. What is it that your program is going to accomplish? Why is the Washington Post, they're beating your door down to tell your story? Yes. Outcomes. And then there's also impact too. Two of the weeds.
outcome. Thank you.
Do we have another evaluation board?
Yes. All right, everyone has their headline. Remember, the headline is short, sweet, and quick. Because I'm not reading 3 sentences on the cover of the Post. It's quick, it's sweet. It tells exactly what happened. It tells what your results were. So any volunteers to share their headlines? That's the fun part. I love headlines. Volunteers? What's your headline? Do you believe that your program is going to work? Do you believe that yes?
DC hits functional zero for veteran homelessness.
Hey! That means there are no more homeless veterans in the district. That's a headline, right? Now you imagine that? That's a headline. Other headlines. You can't go wrong with a headline, so there's no right or wrong answer. It's your personal story. It's what you want to accomplish. It's you selling your program, actually.
Turn youth attention from streets to talent.
Good one, exactly. Program turns youth attention from the streets to the talent. Easy. Easy. That's a good one. Not easy, but it's a good one. I would love to see that one in the Washington Post. One more, and then we'll keep moving. One more. Give me a good headline.
Easier process in finding Section 8 housing.
Leads to
finding
so
Section 8 voucher. Section 8 housing.
Okay. So let's work on this. Let's work it on. Let's smooth it over. So you're implementing some of your objectives. I assume are going to be you're going to put together some steps to help these women make it easier to help find their bodies. Okay. And so the problem that you're addressing is what's the problem or need you're addressing?
The loss of them losing out on their Section 8 vouchers.
Okay. So what about DCHA? 100% of women found vouchers within no one loses. Let's help her out, y'all. Let's help her out with a headline here. Because the goal, what we want to proclaim is that no one lost their vouchers, right?
Right.
So what's our headline? No one lost their vouchers.
100% satisfaction in Section 8 voucher housing, all participants housed.
Yeah, or that's a good one. All participants housed. And then that first sentence can talk about how that happened. Okay. And so again, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I have one. Girls rule the world, teach one. No, girls rule the world, teach some. No, reach one, and we taught some.
Okay, you reach once, you reach one some, and you taught some. Okay, that's good. Now, thinking about your headlines, right? What do you need to measure your success? Because with each headline we talked about an outcome, right? She talked about 0 women, none of the women losing their vouchers, right? She needs to demonstrate that happened. Okay. What was another example that we had? The veterans. All the veterans are housed. How do you demonstrate that all of the veterans are housed? You have to be able to measure that in some kind of way. And so that's where program evaluation comes in. I'm going to try to make this as quick and simple as possible. But there will be some things that I won't get too much into the weeds, but if you do have some questions, stop me. I don't want to make this, too complicated. I'm going to hit on some of the most important things, and then we can work our way through some of those other more details if you guys need to. So there are 5 key steps in program evaluation. Quickly, engage your stakeholders. You're already doing that, whether you know it or not. This is your first step to engaging, and it's mutual, but to engage in Far Southeast. You're engaging each other right now. They see your face. They're hearing about the programs that you want to do. Those type of things. The second one is focusing your evaluation. You can't evaluate everything because some things is just not reasonable to evaluate. You may have to pick and choose those things that you need to evaluate. Now, as long as it's related to your goal. Clearly, whatever your goal is and your objectives, you're going to have to evaluate those. But then there could be other things that you may want to be able to evaluate about your program. The third step is collecting data. That's why I asked the question earlier. How are you going to collect the data? Sometimes we have these broad goals, but then you need to think about, well, how am I going to demonstrate success? What am I going to use to collect the data? And if you get to a situation where there are no reliable tools, you may be forced to develop them. You may be forced to find them from other places. There are tons of valid and reliable tools all over the place. But sometimes, if it's too complicated, you may need to ask yourself, maybe what am I evaluating here, right? And then the fourth one is analyze and interpret your data. And then last but not least, share findings. That's your headline, right? The findings, when you start disseminating those findings, that's your headline. That could be a report to your funder and other types of things. So let's talk about the first, I'm going to get this right. 90 minutes. I keep looking the wrong way. So the first step, engaging your stakeholders. Again, you guys have a leg up. You've already started engaging your stakeholders. And what's important during the evaluation, during program evaluation, is that it has to be continuous. You need to engage them when you conceptualize your program. You need to engage them when you're designing, when you're refining rather, because you've already submitted them. But when you're refining your objectives and activities and all of those things, stakeholder engagement should be continuous. And the second step, determine what your stakeholders are most interested in finding out. That should guide what you're going to do. Evaluate, right? If my stakeholders have a program where they are trying to determine how many kids don't go hungry, right? We want to make sure that all the children in the district are food secure, meaning that they don't have a night where they didn't eat. That's what my stakeholders are concerned about. Whenever I submit my application and my plan, what am I going to evaluate? One of the things that I need to have in there is how many kids were food secure. I need to be able to measure that. And then another one, find out the minimum monitoring and evaluation requirements. Most programs do have minimum requirements. A monthly report. I think for the mini grant program, it's a monthly report?
2 reports.
2 reports, okay, it's 2 reports. See, that's stakeholder engagement. Now you guys are finding out some of those requirements earlier than some of the other folks. Okay, it could be daily sign-in sheets. You may need to be required to produce sign-in sheets for your funders to demonstrate that those 25 kids you told me you were going to get, you actually got them. I'm not going to just take your word for it, right? It could be videos, right? You know, you told me that you were going to host a dance competition. How do I know it happened? You know, maybe you can produce a video. Maybe you can produce some feedback from parents and so forth and so on. Okay. The second one, focus your evaluation. So for this one, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into this section, but I'm going to just hit some of the high-level ones. I'm sure most of you, raise your hand if you heard of the term logic model. Oh, okay. So I'm going to pass out a chart that is sort of like a program logic model. A program logic model is really kind of sort of the newest buzzword. Most funders, I don't think that, you guys don't require it.
The logic model, no, not for the mini grant.
Okay, but some of your other grants?
Some of our other grants, the larger grants, the capacity building grant, we are moving to a logic model.
Okay, and that is consistent with most all large funding. I mean, especially any federal funding, foundation funding, they want to see a logic model. A logic model just basically describes, it's a picture that describes just about everything in your program that you're going to have. It has your inputs. What do you need? So if they're going to give me $2,500, my inputs will be $2,500, 3 staff members. It tells what's going to go into it. And then your outputs. If you give me the $2,500, if I have the people that I say I'm going to have, these are the activities that I can do now. I can host that training session. I can host that grand finale. You know, those are all of your, are you going to pull it up for me?
I'm going to pull up a logic model from
Oh, that's right.
the one that we were dealing with from the Drug Free Coalition.
Good.
And that's actually one that's approved by the federal.
Okay, good. And I was just going to say, when you see this one, the template that I gave you just has all the components. You can make it look you can do a lot of different fancy things.
I don't have it on here, but I have it somewhere else. This is just that template up on that.
Understand, okay.
I have it right here.
Okay. And so while they're pulling that up, I'm going to quickly go back through this. And then you have your participation. So based on those activities, this is what's going to happen. This is how many people. So I'm going to host a session. Participation is how 25 people are going to attend it. Sounds familiar, right? Actually, what are we talking about now? Objectives and outcomes, exactly. That's basically what a logic model shows. It shows your goals, your objectives, your outcomes, and the indicators that you're going to use to measure success, basically, in one picture. And then it talks about, again, you see the outcomes short and long. Some logic models also have assumptions, so you're assuming certain things. That's important. Not all logic models contain them, but assumptions are important because you may need to put in there, I'm going to do all this based on the assumption that somebody is going to refer 25 people to me. And if I don't get it, then, you know, exactly. And then you also want to put, sometimes you can put external factors. how external factors could impact your program. You know, because there's some things that could happen, you know, maybe the building that you were planning on using, they don't want to let you use it anymore, you know, those type of things. But normally you wouldn't put something like that, but I mean, I just want you to kind of keep in mind that there's external factors.
So let's walk through this one, if you guys, I mean, because this is a problem that's probably everybody here, you know, they understand. Youth ages 11 to 17 using marijuana. That's the big picture model, and that's something that's specific. That's the Ward Drug-Free Coalition. That's one of the programs here at North Southeast Strengthening Collaborative. And then you say, what's the root cause? Access to drugs, and then the social norms that allow it. So access. What are those conditions? Marijuana is being sold in historic Anacostia, 16th W, right up the street from my house. I live at 14th W. Last night there was a shooting there. 3 people got shot. Partly because there's I mean, again, that's what happens. I ain't telling y'all nothing that you don't know. But I mean, and then also marijuana being sold, Berry Farm community right up the road. So that's dealing with the access, social norm, availability of drug paraphernalia in stores in Ward 8 has been something that a number of groups, including the Anacostia Coordinating Council, I think is partnered with Ward Southeast on to sort of say, how can we deal with stores? And then youth are seen on local corners smoking marijuana. Now, some of that's changed, is changing as a result of the laws changing, but
And this was pre the law.
This was prior to the law change. And then we get down to strategies. What are we gonna do? Key informant. What's a key? Everybody know what a key informant is?
Our president, no.
Somebody who, yes, a key informant interviews of youth to identify who is selling marijuana in historic Anacostia and Berry Farm. Now, somebody be like, well, I don't know if I want to know that, right? But again, they're trying to get to the, you're ultimately trying to get to how you, to what's the problem, and then work with MPD to set up additional surveillance in both communities to observe and enforce laws. So that's an enforcement, that's dealing with the enforcement aspect of it. And then on policy and regulation side, you start to educate store owners. You say, because there were store owners, for instance, when there were store owners who were selling these little roses inside of a little glass pipe, and they said, well, we didn't know that was a crack pipe. It's like, except that who gives their girl little bitty rose about this big, you know? You know, you don't give your girlfriend or your guy or whatever it is. You don't give. But again, they were selling crack pipes in stores, and there were people who worked on the streets to get that changed, because it's like, you live in a community, you have some responsibility here. We're not going to allow that. And so they got laws changed, and then they were hosting meetings on drug paraphernalia laws, and then enforced the stores illegally. This is where you put some political pressure on the mayor and others to sort of say, at a minimum, we're not going to allow that from people who are regulated by the District of Columbia to be able to do this. At a minimum, we can do that. We might not be able to get the guy off the street corner, but we can stop him from selling crack pipes.
And if I may, the idea is that it falls back on each other. It's almost like a domino effect. A logic model is supposed to hit back. So if you address, if I may, if you address dealing with, so the drug paraphernalia in our case it's not only the crack pipe, for us the tobacco, because we know in our communities people use blunts and backwoods and all the other things, and you sit it right next to Mentos and Starbursts and Now Labels, and you flavor it. Who are you targeting? You're not targeting, you're targeting children. So the idea is, if we change the policies and the regulations, then it will no longer become a social norm. There you go. And then you'll change your root cause. So it's almost like a domino effect. So your logic model should fall back on itself. And when you can't do that, then you have to change one of these. There you go.
Right, and then I just want to expound on it, because this is actually what we would call like an extended logic model, or some people call it a Kawasaki diagram. It's the different terms. And the model that you have here is more of a traditional, because as you can see, it doesn't have the root causes and all of those things. So if you want to think about it, you would start this model, you would start here on this model. Well, there's a couple things, but you could plug these items over here into this model and continue working your way. Because this model, can you go over a little bit more?
Sure.
Y'all put and they don't, I don't think here you guys didn't put your outcomes.
They're at the
per
bottom.
se. Right.
They're at the bottom. I didn't have any room on the paper.
Right.
Oh, no, we didn't put, that's the next one.
Right, that's the next,
Yep,
that's the next
that was
one.
the next
And
one.
that's what I was
Yep,
saying.
and
So
we
that's
have that
the
as
one
well.
that is,
Mhm.
that's kind of, and again, that's why I call this an extended model. As soon as I seen it, I knew exactly. It precedes this, but this is like important because this also, and what I would call this actually, Dion, too, is a theoretical model.
That's right.
It's your theoretical model. Why are you doing what you're doing? What are the, and you work your way through this, and like you said, you can work your way all the way back. So essentially, let's think about
Let me
it
go
just
back
like
to your
this.
slide. Let me go back to yours.
Yeah, well, you can keep that
Is
there.
your- oh,
for a minute.
okay, I'm
I want to
sorry.
show them something right quick.
Sorry.
So, if we kept that all the way, starting with the problem, and then we put this over here, like Dion said, on my sheet, on this sheet is the long-term outcome. So, are we getting it? So, whatever that long-term outcome is here, then I had some intermediate outcomes, some behavior changes. Then I had, some behavior changes. Then I had some short-term outcomes, and then I had all my outputs, all my activities. These are all outputs: enforced laws, host communities, educate veterans. You see what I'm saying? And then we're working our way back. But it should all make what? Sense. Exactly.
And even under here, we start to be there's even work under here, because work with MPD, well, that involved weekly meetings or monthly meetings, so you start to be work, because a lot of people it's easy to get to this, to know that, I want to do that, I want to solve that problem. But then it's just, and I'm sure it took y'all a lot of work to get to this, to say that, to then the results over here. So it really is some brain work that you gotta put in. And even on the smallest projects, because even when we're talking about your project with with art, it's like, well, I wanna do all these things with art, but you just told me she had three different sets of different levels of kids. So that's lesson plans for a 5-year-old, a 7 to 9-year-old, and then, so that's lesson plan. Then we had all the other stuff that goes with it. So all that work in order to get that product, because what you're trying to do is what this does is that if Dion's not here tomorrow, she can leave it with one of her employees, and they know how did we get here. And that's what when you start talking about what the big goals of what we're trying to do is we're trying to leave something so that it's not just us. I mean, that's the long-term goal. Yeah.
Okay. So you can.
I was just gonna add the other piece to this too, if you guys wanna really get into deep with the logic model, you should probably give them your website, because SAMHSA does a really good job.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of tools, and I'll leave you guys, well, we have your email addresses.
Yeah, and then
So
it's
I
at
will
the end of
forward
the
you guys.
presentation,
It
too.
is? Okay,
I put
great.
the link there.
Good.
Yeah.
And CACA, I'll give you guys that. There's some really great ways to look at how you do this. And it's a fluid document. You're gonna change this thing a lot of times doing your work, and it's okay. You don't have to be wedded to it. We changed this. We've been doing this work for 9 years for this particular project, and literally, I'm not lying, I've changed it 5 times. And it's okay. It's okay. So you guys want me to go back to
As
this?
long
You
as
have
your
to
long-term
change it
outcome
now
doesn't
again,
change.
now that the laws have changed?
Us? No, we're going along. We're not, no, because federally, it's,
Children are still not.
yeah, and it's not legal for children, and the state laws does not supersede the federal law.
Right, and I just wanted to highlight, even though the logic model has changed, what will never change, what does not change though, is her long-term, that big
Their
goal.
long-term goal, and that's to reduce, well, to eliminate the use of substance abuse among young people.
Okay,
All right.
so is this making sense to you all now? We're tying it in. I know it's a long night. I'm gonna try to scroll, move it on along.
Go back?
Yes, we
All
can
right.
go back.
Thank you.
No problem.
You can go, slide. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right here. So the two key things, okay, so we're talking about logic models. Very good discussion. I mean, even Dion, you may want to, logic model, it's an art. And there are many types of logic models. So I think that is something good that, we wanted to share with you guys. And again, who knows, maybe we could.
I suppose if you're interested in it,
program
what we're gonna do, Marvin, make sure we send an email out to this group. And if it's other information that you've heard today that you're interested in, this is our wonderful team, and we can build a workshop around some of the things that you're interested in that you heard today.
and put that on your evaluation form, because
Yes,
that's our way
please
to
do.
get that feedback. Okay, and so moving on along, so then you have to define the purpose of your evaluation. What's the purpose? Why are you evaluating? And then you need to find out, well, who's going to use it, because that matters, right? Depending on who's gonna use the results of your evaluation, oftentimes it's our funders at the end of the day, right? They're the ones who are gonna use it. But sometimes it could be a news agency, it could be the police department could use your evaluation results. Doesn't necessarily have to be, funders. And then these two things are kind of sort of the most important things because they springboard to the rest of your plan. But that's determine key questions to answer. With every evaluation plan, you have to have your evaluation questions. What are you asking or answering rather? So I'm talking about it backwards, but you have to be able to ask the question. What is it that you are trying to find out? So everyone, spend 1 minute, because I want to wrap this up, and I don't want to take us over the time. Writing down one evaluation question for your project. Based on your goals, your objectives, some of the activities that you've already mentioned, what would be an evaluation question? And just like the outcomes, just like the objectives, you have process-related evaluation questions, and you have outcomes and impact-related evaluation questions. So one question could be, how many children did I serve? Period. How many children did I serve? That's it. So who wants to share one of their evaluation questions?
How did I impact the number of children that I served during that 8-week course?
Okay, that's a good one. I'll tell you, you may have to be more specific because when you start taking that, when you take the next step after taking that question, it's really into developing indicators. So an indicator tells you, it indicates, like a really easy way to think about it, an indicator gives evidence provides you with evidence of what you accomplished. That's an indicator, and you can measure that indicator. So with the evaluation question you posed, you said you wanted to,
How did I impact?
how did you impact? What's your indicator there?
It's based on what they were given through it's like a curriculum, so what was the curriculum offering that they impacted through?
Okay.
Offering the finalization of their session or the course that they participated in, if that makes sense.
It does. I'm just kind of helping you. We're working it through. So normally the reason why you want to be specific is because you, again, thinking about indicators, you have to tie every question to an indicator. How are you going to measure it? That's the better way to think about it, right? The indicator is what you take to measure to measure or to get an answer to the question that you pose. So if I say I'm going to I'm going to make an impact on kids, someone's going, well, what's your impact? How are you measuring the impact? You might say, I am going to increase their knowledge, right? Then you know, now we're being a little bit more specific. Or I am going to, what about the one, I'm trying to think about one with nutrition. I'm going to improve their knowledge of nutrition, but I was trying to think of one like behavior.
Well, you could say something like, how many kids, when we started, how many vegetables were you eating in a week?
Right.
And then how many vegetables were you eating a week afterward? Or if you're playing an instrument, who was still playing the instruments 3 months after?
So these are all evaluation questions, right? So we're trying to get into some indicators, but those are good questions, right, exactly. How many children still eat fast food after a certain amount of time? That's a right general. Or
how many veterans are housed through the program, or how many are still housed 6 months after the services stop?
Great evaluation questions. Those are all outcomes questions, though. Give me a process question. An evaluation question that is asking about the process.
Another program, how many new landlords who accept Section 8 vouchers were you able to contact?
Yeah, bingo. How many? Basically, process measures, you're counting things, How many, and it's really take a look at the activities. How many sessions did you have? How many children did I serve? Those are all evaluation questions, right? And then once you start asking, you nail down your questions, then again, you're going to have to pick up your indicators. And these indicators basically tell you whether or not you have met your objectives. So the indicators, an indicator could be the number of people, that's an indicator, right? Or it could be, indicators are like normally in race, it could be the rate of incarceration, that's an indicator, right? It could be the number of kids who picked a healthy vegetable, who picked a healthy food. All of those are the different indicators. And then lastly, you have to, and then lastly, another way to focus your evaluation is you have to choose your design. And so we've kind of sort of been talking about this all along, but you can choose to have a process evaluation where you're only concerned with measuring the process. How many did I touch? Did I do, how many classes did I have? How many people did I serve? How many people, did I impact? Or how many books did I disseminate? All those are kind of sort of process type measures. And then your impact measures. What was the impact? Like you were saying, what did you accomplish? Like what was the impact of whatever program or whatever you're implementing? And then you also have those outcomes.
Or like how many, for instance, if you do an evaluation before, and you would ask the parents, how many parents read with their children once a week, how many read with their children more than once a week, and then at the end of the program, how many have the number of times that you read with your children improved?
That's an evaluation.
How many times a week do you sit down and do something creative with your child? And then how many times a week do you do it at the end of the program?
Right. All of those are good questions. And I'd like to add that when choosing a design, oftentimes, if you have to be realistic here, right? Let's say that if you have a 6-week program, $5,000. Most of your evaluation questions probably should be along the what side? Which one? Process and back out? Process. Because exactly how much can you accomplish within that set period of time, right? So we have to be realistic. You can still have, I'm not saying don't have, but I mean, you would not design an entire outcomes-based evaluation unless you're doing something like, I guess with the nutrition, you could do that one. You could build in both. You could say, I'm going to be doing these numbers of classes, those type of things, and at the end of it, the kids are going to be able to select a healthy snack. Right. That's an outcome, and that's realistic. So what I'm saying is that you should have both, because clearly, remember, your funder wants to make sure that what you said you were going to do, the impact that you said you were going to have, that you had, that happened at the end of the grant. But make sure that you're also realistic. Don't give yourself these lofty, long-term super goals. That's what I call these super goals that we know you can't accomplish, and we know you can't even measure it. You can't even measure it. So just be realistic.
And I just want to add, in terms of applying for grants, that's oftentimes, sometimes why people do not get them. Especially in our shop, the goals are unrealistic, and we tell people that they're unrealistic. There's nowhere in the world with $3,000 you're going to be able to do some of the things that people are saying they're going to be able to do. So you want to make sure that it's realistic, and that was what you went through in your objectives. Making sure that the things that you're trying to do is realistic, especially for the amount of money that you're applying for. So just keep that in mind. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you. Okay, and then piggybacking on, let me go back here. So again, once you choose your design and you know the types of questions that you're going to answer, now you got to think about how am I going to collect the data. And again, you have to, and that's why making sure that your evaluation questions and the design are realistic. Because sometimes people say they want to do certain things and they have no way to collect the data. Or either it would cost more to collect the data than what you have to run the entire program. So you have to be mindful of that as well. Now there are different types of data sources. You have surveys. Let me think about some of the programs that we have here. What type of data collection tools do you guys normally use? Surveys, okay. You probably have your intake forms too, right? You can use there's data on there that you can use to measure the number, that of residents you're serving. What type of data collection tool do you think you can use? We could be creative. It doesn't be something that you have to have, but what are you thinking about?
basically the same thing along the lines of a survey. I would input certain questions into the actual application when they enter the program, to measure if they know certain things already and if they eat certain things, and then do a survey after.
Okay, so she's doing a pre-post. Good, that's a good experimental design, good. What age range are you working with?
7 to 12.
7 to 12. Now I want to stop you here because sometimes the reliability of the information and the validity as well of the information that you're going to get from certain audiences, they could be, you know, maybe they have a low literacy rate, maybe it's 7-year-old. You know, they fill out a survey, you know, and there's no telling what you may get. Right, or ask their parents, and then that's recall, and the parents often, they don't really know what happened. But, so you have to be creative. For you, you could do something as simple as say, I am going to take pictures. You could have pictures, and you could have different food choices here, and then different food choices like healthy food choices and unhealthy food choices, and you can just simply ask the kids, circle, right, circle what you have today. Or you could bring 2 types of snacks and do an observational type of thing. Right. Bring 2 snacks, put them in the back of the room, and just observe, make tally marks to see what did they select. And that would be in the beginning, like you said, the pre-post. On day 1, when the first day they come, have some snacks, see what they pick. You could count how many Snicker bars were left versus how many apples were left. Do the same thing at the end of your program. So you could be very creative about the types. Yeah, you could be very creative about the types of the way you collect data. And oftentimes funders really like those creative ways because everyone wants to develop a survey, but if you don't have the survey developed properly, I mean, a survey is only good as, you know, the way it was designed. And you've all kind of probably got a survey and you're like, what was this? I don't know what they're going to get out of this, but here you go, right? So you have to be cognizant of that as well. And I do think that Dion does require you guys to submit samples of your evaluation tools. And that's why, you know, I wanted to put that in there. And if you can't develop it on your own, there are so many surveys out there for just about everything. But what I encourage you to do when you do Google surveys for something, type in the word reliable or valid behind it. Because you want to make sure that whatever you get, it has already been tested and proven to be reliable. I mean, and this is normally for larger funding, so I don't want to scare you away either. I guess I don't want to make it too complicated.
Keep it simple.
Right. I kind of went on a tangent here, but yeah, but keep it simple. So even if you do find that big elaborate survey, you may just need 5 questions off of it. You just want to make sure that the way your questions are worded is accurate, so that it won't introduce any bias or anything of that nature. Ideally, if you have the time and the funding, you could pilot it. And that piloting is really determining how valid and reliable the tool is going to be. And then you also, just for your purposes, it's important to establish good data collection practices. Oftentimes we have these surveys, we have these sign-in sheets, we have these intake forms, and if it's not filled out completely, or if it's not filled out properly, or if it's not done consistently, they signed in today, but they didn't sign in tomorrow. Oh, y'all signed in, the next. So you have to make sure that you put a process in place where you actually practice good data collection processes. And then, some things you can do is set a schedule, keep detailed records, and for some of you may have to obtain permission. I think that's already built into some of the materials that you have to send out with Far Southeast, so that permission will already be obtained.
As you saw when you filled out the form today about the permission form, again, because you can't use any of this stuff if you don't get permission from it, because there's federal law related to some of these things. That may not be related to what you're doing right now, but you do want to make sure you got permission.
And then the 4th step, analyze and interpret your data. I mean, you don't want to make this so complicated where you need a statistician, because again, you'd have to pay your statistician more than what your budget can support. So make sure that whatever tool you're using, it can be simple. If you use a 5, like the example we used with this young lady, it's easy for her to analyze that and interpret that, right? But yet it speaks volumes, right? It speaks volumes. There was another lady that taught, back here, the art. Oh, used to be one of my favorite designs, like using art. I mean, we have this thing called photo novellos. That's a type of evaluation where basically you're using photos to evaluate progress, to evaluate progress in terms of emotional growth, to measure healing, to measure how people change. So you can come in and say, I want everybody to draw how you feel about your environment or something, I don't know. And then you would take, and then at the end of the session, you would say, now draw that same picture about how you feel about your environment. And if you've had a session where you've been using certain skills or strategies to build your self-confidence and these other things, oftentimes you'd be surprised and amazed at how you see the change in art over time. And I know you probably know that from working with those kids.
Was it similar to photo voice?
Yeah, you can do it too, yep. And you have a photo novello, video novellos, there's all kinds. But I mean, with the art project, that's definitely something you can consider. So one of your evaluation questions could be, how have my children's art, I don't know enough about art, but I'm just gonna throw something out there.
How to progress.
Right, progress, right, you know, or some of those things. And what you could do is you could, in the beginning, like I said, create a booklet. And then at the end of the project period, you can scan up, take a couple of samples from the kids, scan a booklet, and see how this child has, over time.
So they went from like stick figures to actual.
Right, exactly. Or sometimes they go from drawing angry, hurtful pictures to drawing happy kids that are friends and holding hands. I mean, they do that a lot in therapeutic sessions and things of that nature. Yeah, did you want to mention something? Oh, I know you had something to say.
No, and you have a good way, for instance, with the art project, if the program allows kids to take all their art home, then you can then just take a picture of it, and now you've captured every piece of art that you created in the project and still allow the kids to take it away. You just gotta remember, don't let it get out the door before you
Right. Or another thing, let's say that if you're doing, a lot of people do a lot of education and things of that nature. Let's say that you could get magazines and you could say, show me, cut out, what we want to do, what do they call that? The thought just lost my mind. But basically, a collage. You can have children create collages of where they see themselves in, like a vision board, and where you see yourselves right now, right? Over time, at the end of your program, because your program is going to do some wonderful things, it's going to teach them all kinds of skills, it's going to hook, then you say, you know what, do another vision board or a collage for me, and you will be amazed. If your program works, that's what it's all about, right? Now, if you see the same thing, you might need to say, oh, maybe I should have talked, But if your program works, you ideally should be able to detect the change. Okay, and again, understanding your limitations. One big problem that you see all the time, or it's abused, is that people will have the same data, but there will be 5 interpretations. So you will have the same data, and the Washington Post will say, the Washington Post could say, crime has increased in this particular neighborhood. And with the same data, somebody can say, well, crime has decreased. And the way they can do that is because maybe it has increased overall, but then maybe for a particular population at a certain point of time, it actually went down. So you have to be careful about when you analyze your data and you start telling stories and how you interpret it. And I know you all, I'm sure you hear those survey results, right? This person is up, that person is down, and people can misuse data, so you have to be careful about that as well, because you don't want to interpret something and then your funders ask you to submit data to justify what you just put down, and you can't do that. Okay? And lastly, share findings and use data. Obviously, you want to be able to tell your story. You want to be able to pat yourself on the back. You want others to pat you on the back and say, you know what, I definitely want to give this program some more money. Or matter of fact, let's think about scaling this program. I think we need to reach more people now. And I think with the Far Southeast Collaborative, oftentimes you guys do that. Most of your mini grant applicants will turn into applicants or receivers of grants that are larger, that allow them to scale their programs. And again,
if I may, we actually are now in the process. We have 2 grants, additional grants. We have a step-up grant, and we have a capacity building grant, which goes up to the capacity building grant. We have about $200,000, which can go up to 1 grant for $200,000, or a minimum of $5,000, $20,000 goes all the way up. But the caveat with that is once you get that, you can't get the minimum. So once you are awarded a capacity building grant, you're no longer eligible for receive a mini grant. So a lot of people kind of stay away from that because they like the flexibility of being able to do more things with the mini grant. So yes, we are expanding the work and the mini grant application process. So, thank you.
Oh, thank you, I think that's helpful. And then, like I said, report. Sometimes, you know, and again, being able to tell your story, share, if you went through all the work to put this phenomenal program together and you got some awesome evaluation results, tell your story. Go to Vistaprint and put together a brochure that just highlights the results from your survey, or show pictures, before and after pictures. Do whatever you need to do to go out and share your story and tell people that it works. I mean, not only does that help you out, but that helps the field in general, because it could be someone else out there that's trying to do something similar, and they can learn a whole lot from you. And so I think that's it for my piece. I know that was a real quick one. I think, you know, if you do have some more detailed questions, I welcome the opportunity to address those. But does anyone have any questions now? Okay. So I think this is actually the end. If you want to say any closing remarks or.
Well, I'll stay here. I just wanted to tell you guys thank you for enduring this time with us. This is a lot of information, especially to some of you guys that this may be new to. Some of you guys who are not new at this, this information may have been a reminder or something that you've actually heard for the again. And oh yeah, I heard it again. Good, I'm glad I heard it. And you know, some of you guys who know this stuff. You know, I appreciate you guys being here, and thank you to the team of consultants who pulled this together. Thank you guys so very much. I often tell them they make my job so much easier. I'm serious. I've been at the collaborative for 11 years this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, been at the collaborative for 11 years this year. I don't know if it's a clout. I don't know what that's about. No, I love it here, but it really is great to be at a place that we can actually expand the work that we do, and have people who care as much about you all and this community as much as I do and we do to help do this work more effectively. So thank you guys so very much. Thank you. So step 2 to this is on February the 11th, we will have our first mini grant workshop for the spring-summer cycle. It will be held at the Anacostia Library at 10 a.m. 6 p.m. Thank you, Marvin. And Friday, February the 12th, we will have the second session at Bellevue Library at 10 a.m. It was at 10 a.m. somewhere. So we will be there, and you must attend one of those sessions to apply for the spring-summer session. That is our largest time that we have the largest amount of submissions. We will tell you at that time what our priorities are. Normally, they will be definitely youth-driven activities, or a combination of youth and or multi-generational type programs. But again, because it is an opportunity for us to serve young people throughout the summer, when we have the time that they are most idle, we try to focus our attention around youth-driven activities. So if there are no other comments, we do have an evaluation that we would like to.
Drop it off at the back.
You can drop it off to Marvin. He'll be at the back door, at the door to collect that from you. Question? Yes, ma'am.
The February 11th
Mm-hmm.
is at the Anacostia Library.
Both of them are at the libraries. One is at the 11th is at the Anacostia
At
6 p.m. And the 12th is at the Bellevue Library, or I like to call it the William Lockridge Library. Let's give that man his rightful due. At the William Lockridge Library on Friday, the 12th at 10 a.m. And we have flyers that are going out, being mailed, I'm assuming tomorrow.
Concerning
tomorrow. Yeah, concerning that, and we're having, but you guys got that one, that's an agreement form. So we will be announcing that. It'll also be on our website, and the community engagement team will be doing outreach around that as well, and engagement around that. So again, thank you, and thank you We Act Radio for videotaping this for us, Brother Kamal, our own 8 radio station. So thank you for videoing this for us, and thank you guys for obliging us and allowing us to video you. So that's it. There are no more questions? All right, thank you all.
I'm gonna do this.